If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum amount of listeners. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. All you have to do is download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Again, that's ANCHOR.FM to get started. Greetings from the Hoodrat2Harvard podcast. I'm your host, Chandrika Simmons, also known as the Law Chick. You're about to embark on a 5-episode adventure of closure with my biological parents. What I left out of the episodes were the names of family members who may not want to be a public part to my story. What else I left out was that I grew up believing that my non-biological dad was my father because he and my mother entered into an agreement to present me as such to the world when I was a couple of months old. So the only people who were unaware of the agreement were me and my non-biological dad's family. I hope to one day interview my non-biological dad and mother to get closure on the matter, but for now, you're going to enjoy these next 5 episodes that I put together to get closure on this part of my story. Episode 1 of the closure series with my biological parents is going to be entitled Merry Christmas. If you listen to the entire episode, then you'll know why. Enjoy.
You know it's all good when the lights is on. Everybody's shining. But you know you gotta go out. And that ain't never a good thing. Never. I thank you for putting up with me. Physically gone, but your spirit's still stuck with me. All the game that you gave me, it's time to apply it by any means necessary. Whatever's required, we gon' work and keep working. We never get tired.
Greetings. Welcome to the Hoodrat2Harvard podcast. I'm your host, Chandrika Simmons, also known as the Law Chick. Today's topic is going to be on that of closure. We're going to look at the past to help us in the future. I have 2 special guests, my father, James Lockett, and my mother, Frida Morris. We're going to talk about the origin of our stories and how we arrived to where we are today. Just give you a quick, brief look into my parents. My father is currently residing in Arizona, and my mother currently resides in Michigan, and I also reside in Michigan right now. So let me introduce my mother first, and she can tell you a little bit about herself, and then my father will go next. Mom?
Hi, I'm Frida Morris, Chandrika's Simmons' mother. I'm the mother of 2. I have another daughter, Shatarika Hall. Right now, I live in Pontiac, Michigan. I'm here to be closer to my daughter, my grandkids, and my family here, since we are a small bunch. Even though I come from a large family, we are a small bunch up here. And so far, I really thought the winter would freak me out living here, but I come to embrace it and know it's coming every year and just go with the flow. Buy the snow boots that you don't like anyway. Anyway, but that's what else you want to know about me? I don't know.
What do you do?
I am a preschool teacher. I'm an early educator. I teach 4 to 5-year-olds. Well, most of the time they're teaching me, but it's a job that I love. It's a job that I never thought I would be in. And when it fell into my lap, I couldn't say no. And I'm retiring at the end of this school session, but I'm gonna sign up for a sub. But I'm just tired, period. If we have to keep being online, I'm really tired. But I love to have the kids in the classroom where we can interact one-on-one. And I also work retail. That's my laughing job. That's the job that keeps me ready for my comedic act that I plan to start after I retire. Because, honey, I got some stories to tell, some jokes to tell. It's so funny being there every day.
All right.
It's live. So That's where I'm at in my life right now.
All right, that's great. Now, Dad,
Yes, ma'am.
tell us about your town, where you reside, all the good things.
Well, I live in Arizona. I live in a relatively small town for the Great Southwest called Mesa. It's only got a couple 10 million people here. I like the idea of not having to get prepared for the seasonal change. I don't have to do that anymore. I've been pretty much around the world a couple times. I messed around and did the same thing for 50 years, which was repair things. Now I'm still repairing things, but I repair people's finances now, which is a whole nother different kind of thing. I wish that more so than anything else, that life would have turned out a little bit different. I would have loved to had my mom alive during this time right now, where she could see what kind of a woman my daughter turned out to be. That I was not a total screw up, because I was told since I questioned everything in life that I was a screw up. I remember my mom asking me as about a 9-year-old child. She left my father because my father was an abusive kind of guy. And I remember her asking me, explain this to me, boy. Now, that didn't mean it from the beginning. That really doesn't mean anything, but that let me know right at an early age that I had to try, if I wasn't, try to be at least smarter than everybody else around me. Had to do that. Problem with that is that you sometimes go off the rails. I went off the rails as a young man. I mean, I met this really, really cute girl. I went to Peabody High School. And when I was still, in fact, where I come from at that time, I was told that I was too dark. I remember being told this lots of times by girls and a bunch of guys. Then I go to Louisiana and I met somebody who didn't care what color I was for some reason. I didn't understand that. I liked the fact, though, that she was tall. Because in our family wasn't a whole lot of tall people. She was tall and cute, and she had these dimples. But anyway, that's a whole lot. But that was the beginnings of the person who's put this interview together, Chandrika Simmons. That was her beginning. The first time I ever saw her, she was in her mother's stomach, and I was behind bars in Rapides Parish Jail, and I beat up 4 guys that day because all I wanted to do was get out of there, because I didn't think I'd done anything wrong. I didn't know that you could bend the law without breaking the law. At that time, I thought you just did what you want to do, and if you got caught, you, like Beretta said, you do the crime, you do the time. Took me a long time to figure out that what you got to do is you got to stretch the law, not break it. You got to challenge the law, but don't get crazy with it. Okay, you got to challenge the status quo. The status quo where I come from was that you graduated from high school, you went off to Schroeder College, which was in Little Rock, Arkansas, and then you went off to places like St. Louis or Chicago or New York, but you never went out west for some reason. Okay, but I messed around at at middle age, and I met my daughter, which was interesting because I didn't know her for the first 25 years of her life. I met her, and then I started questioning pretty much everything I'd ever done. And the woman I was married to at the time, we had a long conversation about that. And before that conversation lasted a couple of years. I'm not married to her anymore, okay? Because it got crazy. Because the conversation got to the point to where who you care more about. I wasn't blessed to have a son. I was blessed to have 2 daughters, but my oldest daughter was not an afterthought. She was the only thing I thought about for the longest, but I never thought of her being a boy or a girl. I just thought something had been taken away from me at a young age. And I didn't understand why. I found out later on in life it had something to do with the lifestyle that I was living. You can't, as my grandmother would say, you can't have your cake and eat it too. I thought I could. Well, the woman that you see as your mother actually got a chance to see me pay for the mistakes that I made. That was one of the most embarrassing.
Hold on, Dad.
It was most embarrassing. One of the most embarrassing things in my life. But now I have a greenhouse in my backyard I built. I live on about a really nice house out in the Great Southwest. I shop every day now not for a living anymore, because I'm in network marketing, so people send me a bunch of money whether I work or not. It's really, really a wonderful thing that I do. But I get to go out and find things. And yesterday I started a group on Facebook, and it's things that I find that I'm selling. I have 15 apps on my phone that I sell stuff on. I generally mail 4 or 5 things every day off. I make about $50 a day doing this. But I spent a couple of $25 or $30 a day shopping. Most of that's for gas. And in the desert, it's beautiful out here, folks. I ain't got to worry about snow. The seasons don't change. You know, like every morning I get to walk in my backyard, and there's some kind of citrus growing, or People say you couldn't grow peaches in Arizona. I got peaches growing in a giant pot in my backyard. The pot cost me $500. It was the pot. It's a big old gigantic thing, holds 4 yards of dirt, which is a big pot. But it grows, I've got peaches growing in that one. Then I've got several other pots with fruit growing in. But now the things that I always wanted to do was grow and fish. I did fishing for 50 years. Now I'm growing stuff until I die. I'm proud to be here.
Thank you.
No problem. I can ramble all day long, though.
We know.
We know.
We know. We see. So what I want to do is I want to start with the premise that since my dad led into it a little bit, I am 46 years old. I was born in 1974 in Alexandria, Louisiana. I was really born, I think I was born in Pineville, but I was born in Alexandria, Louisiana. All right. So how old were you when you had me, Mother?
I was 17 at the time when I gave birth to you. I got pregnant when I was 16, and I turned 17 during the pregnancy, and I had you when I was 17.
And were you still in high school?
I graduated with you. You was at my graduation.
Wow, really?
Yeah, my whole family was there. Actually, I was the first person in my family to graduate high school.
You were the oldest person, right?
First person in my family to attend college. So I was the first for a lot of things in my family. And Chandrika I have a lot of firsts from my side of the family. And also my other sisters, they have a lot of firsts for some of their kids also. So, but I'm the first one to have a lawyer. I'm the first one to have a doctor. So out of the Southern living and the way I was raised and the way I was brought up, challenged me to do better, to do different. Sometimes you want to do better, but sometimes it's just different. And so a lot of things I did different, but I still had the old mentality. And it took a lot to work on that old mentality. It still takes a lot to work on how you was raised, because I have a lot of Coralie in me. And
you say Coralie, who are you referring to?
Coralie is my mother. And I was a little piece of leather, but well put together. A little piece of tin, but hard to bend. So I have a lot of her inside of me. And she liked to go to Home Goods too.
She liked to go to where?
Home Goods.
Home Goods to shop.
No, she liked to
What is Home Goods?
That's my other job. That's my retail job.
It's like a place where you buy furniture and stuff like that, you mean? Like lamps and stuff?
Stuff for your home. And it's fun.
Okay.
So I like when Medea come to work sometimes. Because she's Medea. So but growing up when you was born, yeah, it was challenging. And I didn't know at the time, James, that you were in jail. I do remember one time a young lady, I don't know her name, because we was living in Cars Park, which is a housing project at that time. I don't know if it still exists.
It still exists. Cars Park is a project, a housing project in Alexandria, Louisiana, and it still exists. And you were living there. Okay.
We was living in Cars Park. And I remember a young lady came, knocked on the door one day, and she said, "Frida, James wants you to come see him in jail." And I was like, that's all she said to me, and she walked away. And
her name was Joanne Cootie. Excuse me, but her name was Joanne Cootie.
That could be her.
That
could have been her. I just don't remember who she was at the. I think because you in Alexandria, when you grow up with a lot of people, you know faces and you know them, but if you don't have a relationship with them, you just know of them. And I remember her knocking, and she told me that you wanted me to come see you. And I was like, well, that shit ain't gonna never happen, because I don't do jailbirds. That's been my whole standard since growing up. So, and I kind of didn't believe her, because I'm like, well, you know where I live. You didn't write me. You didn't call me. You didn't do any of those things other than sending somebody to a messenger. So I just like, whatever. And then later on, after you was born, I think it was me. It was either Connie or Deborah.
These are your two sisters.
Those are my sisters. We went to the bowling alley on the air base at the time. England Air Force Base was where you were stationed at the time when I met you. So I remember we went, no, we wasn't bowling. It was in the mall one day. It was after, I think, now that I'm thinking back, I was in the mall and we ran into you. And Connie went up and spoke to you because I could care less at that time. I was like, I'm done. I don't know what happened, but I'm not going to get my heart broken or get hurt or anything. I'm done. And so I was done. So Connie went up to speak to you, and then you said hi to me. I said hi. Wasn't mean or anything. I just didn't have nothing to do with you. I was just done because during my pregnancy, I felt abandoned. During you just one day you was there, then the next day, poof, you were gone. And that I couldn't wrap my mind around being a young girl.
I was there every day, dear.
I'm gonna have a baby, and I was like, so I was going through a lot of emotional young stuff. Well, it was real, but growing up when you don't talk about your feelings, you don't show emotions, you don't do this, you don't do this, you get up, you suit up, you go and you do what you got to do. I was told that's how I was raised. Don't never let them see you shaking in your boots kind of thing. So you just have to be strong and keep going, even though you're hurting inside. And that's what I remember. Then I think again, I ran into you at the bowling alley. I was still the same way. I didn't have much to say. I think whoever the sister I was with recognized you and you spoke to them. And I said hi, but I kept my distance and I didn't never try to hear your story or anything. I just kept my distance. And that was the last time I ever saw you. I think was at that bowling alley.
And so had you had me by then?
Yeah, you were born.
Oh, so I was born and he was, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And so after that, you didn't see him again?
No.
Okay. And so, Daddy, what's your recollection of what happened as far as the pregnancy and your awareness of that and my birth?
I just wanted to know why.
You wanted to know why what?
Everything. Why after me? I used to see your mom every day. Every day, Fred, wasn't it? Wasn't it every day?
We saw it. We
I started I borrowed people's cars just so I could show her something different because
for a while that I was inviting you to parties.
Yeah.
I was like, I was telling, that was Shatarga, I was telling somebody. It might have been you too. I don't remember, but that was Precious yesterday. I'm sorry. It's too many of us to remember.
And Precious is too.
But I was telling how we grew up being a party family. We always celebrated something. We celebrated life. That's the side of the family that I grew up on the Johnson side. If you was born, we celebrated you. If you did something, we celebrated. And my mom, and she made sure we knew that side of our family. She also made sure we knew the other side too, because she would load us up on Sundays and take us to different family members. And so we would know who our family was. But I remember inviting you to, I think it was my grandparents' anniversaries. I think that's what it was. Mama picking Daddy Joe. And we was in Cars Park in that little bitty house. And we had a party, a big ass party. And I was like, when I look back on it, I was like, man, Cars was from one end of Sabine Drive. Sabine Drive was a small street where we lived on. It wasn't one of the biggest streets in Cars Park. We lived in the secluded part.
Right.
Yeah. And we had cars around the block because that's what our family did. We came and we supported. Plus, it was my grandparents. And I think it was like their 50 or 60 anniversary or something. It was a long time. And what's silver? What is silver?
I have no idea.
50 years, I believe.
Okay, I thought 50 was golden.
I don't know.
Okay.
Oh, but it was silver because I remember the cake had silver frosting. I do remember that. That's the only thing I can remember was the cake was so damn pretty and it had silver frosting. I love cake. So I can always remember cake. So and I remember you came. We had a good time. I'm gonna tell you what song was out at the time.
Let's get it on.
No, it wasn't Let's Get It On. Let's Get It On, but no, it was Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. What's the name of that song? Give me a Harold Melvin and Blue Notes song real quick, somebody. And I can tell you it. I can hear, but I can't think of the name of it.
Not Be For Real.
No, it was a dancing song.
Oh, I don't know.
Well, anyway, it was a Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes song. And I remember we were singing along, we were dancing, and we just had a good time. And I just remember you came. I'm gonna tell you the day I got pregnant. I do remember. Now that I'm looking back, I always counted back. I said, it was a Christmas day. You came to visit me one Christmas. And everybody seemed to just disappear. So we go in my bedroom, we get pregnant. And then they came back. And I was like, they didn't stay long enough. That was me. But that was the day you came over for Christmas. You stayed for a little while. You bought everybody gifts. I remember that. And that's.
So let me ask you this. So he came over and he was at parties. So that means that Madea actually knew him?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we all knew him.
Madea, like.
So wait a minute. So explain to me, because this is confusing to me. So my recollection of what was told to me was that this is how the story was shaped in my head. You were underage. My daddy was of age. You became pregnant. Once you became pregnant, Madea said that she ran him off and told him that she would accuse him of statutory rape if he didn't go away. And therefore, he was to never come around again. So in my mind, she didn't know of him. I didn't know he was at the house partying with y'all and she knew him and all these. I didn't know that.
Well, maybe she didn't think we was having sex. Maybe she didn't think that, but we were. Okay.
Did you know that he was in the Air Force?
Yeah.
I brought you.
I went with him on the base a couple of times. We went.
She like Johnny Walker Red Label.
You was drinking during the time.
So, Daddy, you used to buy Dia alcohol?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that part, but I know she was drinking during that time.
Yeah.
That's right. Johnny Walker Red. It was cheap. It was only like $5 or something for like a
It was
fifth.
Liquor. But alcoholic liquor is liquor. It doesn't matter.
So how did we get to him being run off?
That I don't know. I'm just telling you, when I found out I was pregnant, because I didn't think I was pregnant for a minute. I think it wasn't January, it was February and March. I would start throwing up. I would have morning sickness with you. I would be so sick. And once I knew I was sick, I kind of put it together that I'm pregnant, right? So I'm trying to keep it under wrap. I can't tell my dear. So I get pregnant and I'm trying to keep it under wrap. And one morning I get up I'm like, I'm just tore up. I'm having morning sickness like crazy and kind of got to use the bathroom. And I'm trying to keep her out. And so when she come in anyway, she see me sitting by the toilet with, throwing up. Then she goes, "Oh, you pregnant?" And I was like, "Shh, you can't tell nobody, I don't know what the fuck to do right now." I'm like, "So you can't tell nobody because I don't even know,
Right.
So about 2 days later, kind of decided she gonna run off, her and some friends from school. So she gets in trouble. So when they find her and bring her home, they fussing at her. And so to take the heat off of her, she blab out, "I don't know why you fussing at me, Frida, and they're pregnant." Then all the hit the fan.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.